Good evening. It's Diane from Stamping with Diane in Innisfil, Ontario, coming to you to talk to you about our tearing techniques. Last week in session 1, we learned about tearing the edge of paper and putting a little bit of coloring on there with our blending brushes, and how gorgeous that looks with designer paper as well. Tearing the edge and then using our bone folder to curl it up a little bit. So we are into series session number 2, and session number 2 I am going to show you how to make some scrolls, tearing some scrolls. So how do we do that? Well, let's start off first of all with a piece of basic white, and let's make this one say happy birthday. So I do have some fun birthday classes coming up. You can go to my link tree to register for that. And I'm going to stamp my happy birthday just kind of on the one end in our gorgeous, I love this shade, the Evening Evergreen. The reason I chose Evening Evergreen is because it's going to coordinate with this paper that we're going to put on top. So this is going to be our frame. And I'll show you a little trick. If you have our our paper trimmer, then what I'm going to do is just kind of look at this, and I could even put a little score line on here. So I'm just measuring where that is. So I think it's at about, if I do about a half and a half. Yeah, let's try that. So this is just going to give me an idea. So I'm putting this at the 1/2 inch mark, flip it to the other 1/2 inch mark. Let's see. And that's just, yes. So that is about the width of my paper. So that just shows me where I want to start my tearing. So if you've been watching my previous video, then you know I want to tear up, and now I'm going to start this one, and I want to tear up again, and then I'm going to kind of just let this come back. You can do one side, let's do one side at a time. Just tearing this back and tearing this one back, and I'm staying within my scored mark there. Okay, so I'm just tearing out a little bit of a chunk. Now I finished with my cutter. So if I were to mount this way and have my happy birthday in the center, then it needs to scroll back to about this point in order to show the whole sentiment. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We don't need to roll all of this. Okay, so I want it to roll back to about here, turn it into our scroll to about there. So I don't need to use all of this paper. So I'm going to just snip off part of it. I don't need to roll it all. Now I tend to use just a paintbrush tip. Okay, and now I'm just going to, as tightly as I can, I'm going to just start rolling this around my paintbrush tip. And I'm rolling and rolling. It's already been torn, so I'm just trying to make it tight. And now the nice thing about this is we're seeing the opposite side of our designer paper, which has some pretty color on there. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to unroll that back again. And now I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to just run some seal along there. So this time, as I roll again, it's going to start to stick down as I'm rolling. Okay, I went a little bit too far. Just pull that seal off there. And then what I tend to do is just take, actually that's pretty tight, but you can use a little bit of the white glue and just run a little bead of the white glue in there and push that tight. Because I added the white glue, I'm just going to hold that for a second and then remove my paintbrush. And there you've got your scroll. And then all you're going to do is attach your basic white onto the backing. So isn't that fun? And then this could go as anything, any part of your card. So that's one way, by scrolling back to show, to reveal a sentiment. Another way we can do this is I can scroll back to reveal this gorgeous piece of pansy paper. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did before. So this time I don't need too much of an edge. So I've cut my evergreen just slightly larger, but I can come in any point there. So probably I'll come in at a half. I come in at least at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to come in a little bit more than a 1/2 inch. And again, I'm just putting a little mark there, just a bit before the 1/2 inch, or sorry, a bit bigger than the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm just marking that with my scoring. And again, all that's doing is showing me where to start my tearing. Okay, and I start the other side as well. And then I just keep tearing. So you can, as I say, you can do it separately as we did on the other one, or you can rip at the same time. Tearing is so much fun. It is so much fun. It's great for kids, great technique for kids as well, if they're creating. Okay, so I got kind of a wide edge here. Pull a bit of that back, which you can do, and let's tear it just a little bit more. There we go. So again, now the cardstock is thicker than the designer paper that we tore here. Let's just leave this on camera so you can remember that idea. So this is a bit thicker, so I'm definitely going to remove some of the bulk. I don't need to roll all of that. And let's do it the same way we did before. Tightly wind onto your thin edge. A Q-tip can also work. You could take the cotton end off the Q-tip, off one end of the Q-tip, roll it tightly, and then you'll be able to pull the Q-tip out. All right, so I'm happy with that. So I'm now going to put my seal right to the edge, and we'll try that again now. Rolling, and now this time as I'm rolling, it's starting to seal as we go. So I'm trying to get that as tight as I can in there. And then this little scroll is going to stick on the end. I'm pushing quite firmly just to hold that in place, and then remove your paintbrush. Okay, so now let's finish this one off this time. So I love this pansy paper. So how we're going to get that to show is I'm going to now put some seal around the edges, right to the edge. I think I had this a little bit too long, so I'm just going to snip a bit off here. I'll get rid of my paper cutter and come in on top and line this up. If there's a certain color of the pansies you want to pick up, there we go. And now you've got a scroll showing that gorgeous designer paper. Okay, so we've got the two different kinds where you can scroll back and show a sentiment, or you can scroll back and show your designer paper. So let's quickly turn this into a card, and you can see how this one can work easily. So I do want to stamp. This is the Fresh Freesia, and I've chosen this color because it is the same as some of the pansies in our paper. And on this one, we are going to stamp a little hello from me to you. This is from the pansy, what's it called? Pansy Patch. The pansy patch. There's some really fun 2 and 3 layer stamping on this one. So I'm going to stamp a little hello from me to you. right at the bottom of my card. Perfect. All right. Then, look at that. Fun, right? Okay. But why don't we layer a few other colors in here to pull out, add a little bit more interest and pull out some of these other colors that are in our pansy paper. So I like that. A little bit of the Highland Heather, a little bit of the polished pink. All right. So let's go ahead and adhere these layers. Now I certainly didn't have to make it this thick, this wide, but doesn't hurt at all to make it wide. Okay, so here's our polished pink up at the top. Then let's put a layer of, the Highland Heather underneath. Now, can you think of an occasion you would like to use a scroll? How about the message in the bottle? This one, Bottled Happiness, that I showed last week, has sending a little message. You could scroll, you could actually make a little scroll and tuck it in the bottle. This, we have bottle, what are they called? Where it, a dome, sorry, I'm losing my words. A bottle dome, so you could actually punch out the bottle, put the dome in there, and slide a message, a scrolled up message, and now you know how to make your scroll. All right, so we've layered just simply. Now you could tear some of those layers. Now I didn't have that quite even, so let me just trim that off. Just using my trimmer here, I'm just gonna slide that down and give me a nice clean edge. Okay, whoops, better do it on the back side too. Forgot to do that. There we go. So I've got a nice clean edge here. And the Pansy Patch paper also has pieces that I have die cut. The dies coordinate perfectly with the leaves and the pansies. So I think let's just decorate this up a little bit. Tuck a little leaf in behind this one, like so. And then I've got a smaller, and let's tuck a couple of leaves in on here, because I really want this scroll to be kind of the focal point, and yet we can't just let it be there by itself. So what if I put that this way? Just kind of planning it out. I'm not taking a lot of time. Okay, and because we've got some height here, I would like to use some dimensionals. Now I'm right at the edge of this sheet of dimensionals, but I don't mind that. I'm going to use up these little bits on the edges. Bring that one right across. Do the same thing with these. Pop some dimensionals on here, even the edges. I never waste these. It's the same material, it's just a different shape, so there's nothing wrong with using those edges. I've got one here. Let's tuck one more piece down here. Doesn't look as pretty, that's for sure, but as I say, there's nothing wrong with them. So I'm just pulling the backs off there, and we're ready to pop this on our card. Do the same with our smaller pansy. Again, that was all just die cut with the pansy dies, which coordinate perfectly with the Pansy Patch paper. We'll pop that one here. Okay, and there we have a little hello from me to you. I love that. Okay, now there is some height here, so if you were going to put this in the mail, it might squish a little bit. So this is the kind of card you might want to hand deliver to somebody. So here we had stamping a sentiment. Let's just finish this one off. Let me put the glue on here so that it's holding still for us. You can get the full idea. And putting our happy birthday sentiment in here. Oh, I stuck it, sorry. Stuck it to my foam mat. I should have my silicone mat here. It's just on the other side of my craft room right now. Okay, I didn't quite get that pushed down. There we go. So we can stamp a scrolled sentiment, or we can scroll back and show our designer paper. So I hope you're encouraged by that. Sign up for my classes at my linktree/Stampin' with Diane. We have a host code for July. Our mini catalog and our celebration is on now. This stamp set I highly recommend if you don't have it yet, the pansy patch with the coordinating dies, and you would qualify for a celebration item. If you purchase those, every $60 increment gets you a free item from our celebration brochure. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next week. Take care. Stay safe. Bye for now.